going to get my type tool, T for type, and I've already activated that type. And so I've typed the word drip there, and you can't see it. I'm going to hit Command 0. There it is. It's teeny. I'll hold Shift, and that's key that I hold Shift because this is my #1 do not do this type crime that students love to do. Ooh, isn't that cool? No, it's a distortion of the type. It makes it ugly. Look how fat the cross strokes are and how anemically thin these strokes are, and it's unreadable. So don't do that. You got to hold Shift. That's not the font we want anyway. So I'm going to pick the font. I've got right here in the Properties panel, it says it's Myriad Pro. That's the default font in Adobe Illustrator. This font here, I'm going to do Sparky type chickens. And so I'll type CHI, and here's chickens. And there's the word drip. I'll put that in the center of my artboard. I'm going to tell it to be under paragraph here. That's the alignment. Center alignment, right alignment, left alignment, or justified. I'm going to do center alignment, and I'm going to get it right in the center of my artboard, or as close as I can. And I think I'll make it a little bigger. That's good. I think that'll work. Don't make it so big that it's like, you know, going off the edge of the page. And don't make it so small. The white area, think of the white area as your frame. So you're going to frame it. So make it big. I'm at 220 points here. That seems like a good point size. I'm going to move it up to the top a little bit because I'm going to do some modification. So I've got the word drip, and I'm going to, and that font is called chickens. And so I'm going to get my type tool, T for type. I'm going to click down here about, and you see it did it in chickens here, and that's fine. I'll go 9 point here, and I'm going to go align right here in the paragraph panel, align right. And then I'll zoom up there so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to try to get it equidistant from this corner. I'll do that by putting it right in the corner, and as I move it up, I'll hold Shift, and that will move it on a 45-degree. That'll work. And see, it's aligned right. If you look at this, there's an anchor point here. And so then when I type it, I'll call this font, it's Chickens Regular. And so there is no other font in the chickens typeface, so I'll just say chickens. That's the name of the font. And I'll make that font be gray. In my property, in the fill color here, you see the swatches will open, and I'll go 60% gray. That's the color of that. And there we go. Chickens. All right. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to select chickens there. I'm going to copy it. Copy. Here's a Illustrator trick that will be good. I'm going to go Command Option 0. That fits everything into screen. So that one's selected. I've copied it. I'm going to go to Edit, Paste. And if I do that, it's just going to paste it in the middle of an artboard. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to go to Edit, Paste in Front. It looks like it did nothing. It just pasted it. It did, though. It pasted it right on top of that one. But this is the trick here. I'm going to go Paste on all artboards. Ooh, okay. And look what it did. Every artboard says chickens down here in the same place. And so that's makes it a lot easier. Command 0. And then I'm just going to leave it for now. I'll revisit that in a minute. And then this assignment here, the drip loop. What am I calling this? I'm calling this last name, first name drip loop. So I'll select that, copy, and I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to save to my computer, and I'm going to name this. I'm just going to save to my downloads. Drip loop, last name. My last name is Dennis, or is it Alan? I can't remember. And then month, day, year. Today is 09/05/23. Okay, so there's my file saved. I'm going to keep it Illustrator for now. All right, so I've got that's a start there. And now I'm going to select this type, drip loop. Remember on your assignment on the portfolio project, I'm telling you that your type must be outlined. And we had to, somewhere it said outlined. Okay, right here in the process. And I highlighted it, the type, step 4. Type must be outlined. Select your word with the type tool, letter V, and go to type create outlines, or here's the quick key, Command Shift O. And so that's selected. And I'm going to go to, just so you can see what happened, well, I'll just do it. Type create outlines, it's right here. And it looks like not much changed. I'm going to undo that, but I'm going to show you what changed. So right now, if I had hit T for type tool, I could change this to drop if I wanted. I don't want to. I'll select it again with the type tool here. And I'm going to go to view, Command Z, Y, or outline. So now I'm going to try that outline, Command Shift O, or type create outlines. And now you can see what's happened. It's turned it into vector art. So if I wanted to get the direct selection tool, letter A, I could click an individual anchor point and pull it up like that. Hey, and that kind of looks like a drip of water. Not what I want right now, but what I want to do, I want to take this eye and put it like, to me, that looks like a faucet. So I'm trying to select just the eye, but how type works is it really groups together. I could go multiple times to object ungroup right here, and that would work. But I'm going to instead get the group selection tool. It's hiding underneath the direct selection tool, letter A, group selection tool, and that will let me select just this letter. And I'm going to align it with this R like I just did there. I'm going to hit V, which is the selection tool here. That gives me a bounding box, and I'm going to rotate it like that. If I hold Shift, you'll see, so I can just rotate. If I hold Shift, it snaps it to 45 degree, or 15 at it, 45s. And I've just made it upside down, and now I can move it down. And hey, that looks like, to me, water dripping out. But now I've got to move this P closer because it's like Dr. P a little bit here. And so if I select it all again, the P, it's all selected. So I want to use the group selection tool. If I just click on this outside, you see what I get. It doesn't select the inside. Or if I select the inside, it doesn't select it at all. So I'm going to just click and drag a marquee to get it all selected. And then I'm going to slide while holding Shift so that it doesn't go up and down. A little closer, kind of matching the space here to there, roughly. Now I can get the regular selection tool, and I want to make sure this is centered in my artboard. I can use tools to do that. In the property panel, look right here. I've got align to artboard. If I click this one, it will horizontally align center. That does the trick. And then this one here will vertically align center. But I don't actually, that might work, but I'm actually going to shift it up just a little bit. It's optical centering. What happens when you frame or mat a piece of artwork, usually we'll leave same thickness on the mat top and sides, and we'll add a little more thickness on the bottom. So if we do like 2 inches top and sides, or 2.5 inches top and sides. Let's say we do 2.5 inch mat top and sides. We'll do like a 1/2 inch more, a 3 inch on the bottom. Because visually, what happens is it kind of the weight of the artwork will make it look like the bottom frame smaller. So there we go. I've got the word drip. You see what that looks like. And I'm thinking maybe I want some color. Maybe that the word drip should be gray. And so I'm going to click fill, and I'll pick kind of gray, like it's metal, but I don't want to drip metal. So maybe I want my get the group selection tool, and I'll select the eye, and maybe I want that to be like um, water. So I'll pick a blue. And so now it's looking like drip. And if I don't like that exact blue, I can double click on the color, and I think I want a little lighter blue. There we go. I like that more. And there we go, drip. And then I think, well, I could even make this water a little more drippy. I'm going to hit A, the direct selection tool, this one, and I could pull that up, make it look a little bit more like a drop. And at this point, I want an extra couple of drops. So these are grouped, and so I'm going to go to Object. It's not letting me ungroup it. I'll do this. I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to Object, Ungroup, and it ungrouped each letter from itself, but the I is still grouped with the dot or the jot. I'll go again to Edit, an Object, Ungroup again. Oh, it's not letting me do that one. I'll try again. Object, ungroup's not working. Oh well, what I'll do is I'll select just this letter, this one here. I'm going to hold Option, and I'm going to, so that it doesn't shift this way, I'm going to hold Shift, and I'll add an extra drop. Maybe I want one more. And so I've got extra drops. Now that that's so close to the bottom, I'll need to select all of this, and I'll shift it up a little bit. So there we go. Using just type, I've got the word drip. This has now become a faucet and drips of water coming out of it. And so, and if I wanted to, do like, then I decide, oh, well, I'm going to get even more fancy. I'll have this one be lower opacity, and they're all grouped together. This one here, it's kind of more tricky at this point to get these ungrouped, but here's how you would do it. You would select just these ones. You would cut or edit, cut, Command X, Control X, and then you would edit, paste in front again. So now I can select these individually. So now they're all 100%, and I can say, okay, well, I want that one to be 83%, and I can say, well, I want this one to be 50% ish, and I could say I want that one to be like 30%. So they're getting lighter as well. Kind of get some movement in it. So that would work as well. But that one's working pretty good for drip. I'm liking that. I'm going to hit save and move on. Did I do it like I did in my assignment? Let's see, drip loop. Yeah, I did it similar, but I didn't make that type gray, and I left those regular blue. Okay, my next word is loop. I'm going to do loop. And so I'm going to go to this artboard. So that one's done. And I've got the font chickens down here, small and gray. It's 9-point type. It's like 60%, even 50% will be good, whatever. I undid that because I have it on all the other pages as well. I want it to be the similar value. But that's telling me what the font is, but it's not competing with this word here. So I got the word drip. It's only type, just a very minor manipulation of, moving that one anchor point and duplicating it. I got the word drip. Okay, I'm going to get T for type again. It's going to still be in whatever the last font I wanted, I used. I'm going to go centered type again. And this time I'm typing the word loop. And I could use that same font. I'm not going to. I'm going to use Champagne and Limousines. It's a free font on dafont.com. And I'll make it fairly big. And that's one of the fonts I gave you. Again, you don't have to use the same font I used, but if you want to match exactly what I did. So I'm doing CHA and you can see Champagne and Limousines is down here. If I did like CHAM, that's the only one that shows up. Champagne and Limousines, it looks like that. And I'm going to get it roughly in the center now. I'm going to have to shift it because I'm doing some changing on this one. I'm going to, again, outline the type. And I'm going to go to outline mode, Command or Control Y. And when I do that, you don't see the color anymore because you're only seeing the vector. Command Shift O or type create outlines. It's outlining that type. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the group selection tool. I'm going to select this O and this P. I'm going to zoom up. I'm going to pull them over until it's tangent right there with this one. See that? And I'm going to see if I have smart guides turned off. I was expecting it to, no, they're turned on. I was expecting it to tell me that it was tangent, but I can see that. I don't want to go over, I don't want to go under, and if you can't see, we'll zoom up more. And so I'm going to pull this until it's right, just hitting that point. Tangent, there we go. And I'll zoom back down. And so now what I'm going to do, I'm thinking, you know, it's like loop-de-loop. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the direct selection tool, letter A, it's over here, direct selection tool. And I'm going to, if I click on this, you see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 anchor points. I'm going to select this anchor point. I'm going to hold Shift and select that one as well. I'm going to hit Delete. It's going to delete those 2 anchor points. And then what I want to do, so now I'm making like, the idea is I'm going to make like, oh, did I take too many out? Yeah, I don't want to take that much out. I'm going to, instead of clicking on the anchor point like I did, I'm going to click on the line in between. So you can see the anchor points are not selected, and I'm going to hit delete. And so I kept those anchor points. I think I want to keep those. And so I'm doing loop, and it's going to come around and finish over here. So on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not, if I select an anchor point, click off, and I'm going to select the path inside the anchor point. I'm going to hit delete, and there we go. It's like a loop-de-loop. See that? It's I'm thinking like an airplane that flies, does a barrel roll type of thing, does a loop-de-loop. And so that's looking good. But when I go to Command Y, oh, look what happens here. It's making an odd number infinity symbol or something. Because here's how vector art works. It has a fill characteristic. If it's only stroke, it would look like that, and that might work. But that's not what I'm doing. Maybe I kind of like that, but I'm not going to do that. So here's how Illustrator works. You've got a fill characteristic, and this is connected with that. And so this is essentially the start point, and it goes to the end point here. It's going to connect to this endpoint. So endpoint, start point. You see, as I move those, it's just doing a fill to that area. So that's the start point of the path to endpoint. Again, the start point, and it looks like well, click on this one, start point and end point. So I'm going to undo those, get them back to where they were. I'm going to select this anchor point and this anchor point. I held Shift to select them both, or I can click and drag a marquee. So you see this little dotted square, that's called a marquee. And I click just a small one because I only want to capture these 2 anchor points. If I get more, I got a problem. I only want these 2 anchor points. And I'm going to Command J is the quick key, but that is Object, Path, Join. See right here, Command J. And what that's done is it closed that off. And so that's a closed shape now. Now when I go to outline, that one's not coming down. This one's still doing the same thing. Why? Because you have the end point here and the start point here, and it's just going to fill in that spot. So this time I'm going to again do the same thing. I'm selecting these 2, Command J, Control J on a PC, and I've got the word loop. And so that's working. I'm going to select that, and I'll say, let's be centered now. So I use that, and I'll push up just a little bit because I want it a little bit. You got the descenders going down as well, so I need more space below. And so that's in my space pretty well. But as I look at it, I think, well, I need it to be a little bigger because it's just kind of looking puny in that space. So I for sure hold shift because I don't want that to happen. I make it a little bigger. So don't do this teeny tiny type on this big frame, and don't have it off to the corner, anything like that. Let's get it big in the center, hold shift, and then center it, and then probably get a little more space on the bottom than the top. So that's loop, but to me, it was kind of like, it seems like this ought to be like, I'm thinking skywriting in, from the airplane. So do I have to have a white background? No, I do not. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to eyedrop on this blue color over here. I like this light blue. And then I'm going to hit the letter M, which is the rectangle tool right here. And I'm just going to click and drag from corner to corner. And and I'll make sure it's 11 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. And I'll just tell that to be 0 and 0. That's going to put it right here. And so there we go. I have this nice blue. I think I want a lighter blue than that. I'll knock the opacity down. Oh, look, I'm starting to see loop show through, but let's say I leave it at 100%. Where did my loop type go? It's underneath it. So what has to happen is, you see this box is just covering that up. So Command plus Shift plus left bracket is the quick key, or Object, Arrange, Control if you're on a PC instead of Command. Arrange, send to back. See, Shift, Command, left bracket. And now it's behind. Now I'm going to select my loop type, and I'm going to say, let's have that loop type be white. Okay, I'm almost done with that one. Save. But is this font Chickens? No, remember it was Champagne and Limousines. Oh, but it's not showing Champagne and Limousines now. See, there's no type here. Why? Well, because it's outline type now. It's no longer editable. Not edible. You don't eat it. Editable. So I can't make droop say drop anymore here because it's outline type. But I'm going to come over here to Chickens, right down here on the bottom. And remember, it's a line to the left. This anchor point is the point type. Now I can select that type, and I'm going to go down here to Champagne and Limousines. I'll change it to that. And then that way, I wonder, can I just copy this type here in my character palette? Let's see, copy, come over here, and hey, look, it let me copy the font name here. I have this gray, I think on the white, I think on the since I have a background, maybe I don't want this gray here. Maybe I want that to be white. So I could change this to white here. It looks black because it's highlighted. So deselect Champagne and Limousines. So the font I used on this one is Champagne and Limousines. The font I used on this one is Chickens. And so that's usually what I did last semester when I was demoing this. I came up with, on the spot, a third suggestion, Sliver. And so I'm going to do, and you can see I use Chickens, and I use 2 fonts on this one, Myriad Pro. So I'm going to do this one as well. Or maybe I'll just make you figure that one out. I'll show you. So I'm doing the word Sliver. And so again, I'll say T for type. I'll type the word Sliver. I think I used all. I'll do a cap this time. And it's teeny tiny, and it's Champagne and Limousines. I'll do Chickens again. Again, you don't have to use the font I used, but if you want to match what I did, you'll do that. So we got the word Sliver, and I made that skin colored, so I'm going to outline it. Command Shift O, outline, and then I'm going to make it be a skin color. And so There, it's a skin color here. And then I'm going to put a sliver right there. And so you see what I did for sliver? I just put an exclamation point. I got a little drop of blood. So the sliver and then a little drop of blood. So I did that with Myriad Pro. So again, I've got chickens. And then what I'll do here is I'll duplicate that. I just got the selection tool, copied it, and then this bottom one, I'll choose the font I use, which was Myriad Pro, Command 0. I'm going to hit T for type tool. And this is highlighted. All I have to do is type the exclamation key, and it's going to repeat that. Right now it's in chickens, and I'll scale it up. I'm holding what key? Shift, because I don't want it to distort. And this doesn't seem the right font for a sliver. It's too soft. It's like, I've got a sliver, but it doesn't bug me because it's so soft. Look how round it is. So I need a more angular font. So Champagne and Limousines, that might work. I could use Champagne and Limousines again. Maybe that's what I want. Myriad Pro, that was kind of angled. So I kind of like that one. See, it's pointier. And so there's other fonts within the Myriad Pro family, like condensed, bold condensed. That's too big of a sliver. It's going to take my finger off. This kind of looks like a finger to me. And I'm going to go Myriad Pro regular. And that's what I did. And I'm going to say, all right, let's outline this because I can't make the jot a different color than the stem, the stroke here. I'm going to outline, object, create outline, or type rather, create outlines, Command Shift O. That's outline now. And I'll tell this to be, and you see it's selecting them both together. What I'm going to do, I'm going to move this, well, I'll ungroup them by selecting just that, Command X, cut, Command F, paste in front. I'm going to move it right on top of it. This one's going to become red. That's not a very good red. That's orange. I'll make that be red. It's blood. I want to move it behind the sliver. I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Or send, if I say send to back, it's going to go behind this one. I'll say send backward, just one step. So now the blood spot, I'll pull it down a little bit. And I think the sliver itself, I don't think I want it. I want it to be a wood sliver. And so instead of black, I'll pick a dark brown. So there we go. I got a sliver. I'm going to take these two. I'm going to regroup them. Command G, Control G, or Object Group. Okay, now I can hit V and move these wherever I want. Command 0. I'm going to make a little sliver. I'm going to put it right here. And it's just a little too straight. Slivers are not going to be that straight. So I'll do a little rotate. I can just rotate with the bounding box here, or I can use the rotate tool. Letter R is the rotate tool. You see it's right here. So I want to rotate right from this point. I'll click. That's going to be my radius point. You can see that. And then I'll rotate it however I want from that point. And there I've got a sliver. And I think now that I got a sliver, I'll do one more fun thing. A bonus lesson on gradient. I think it would be fun if this gradient, if this had a little bit of, like infection kind of. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I have construction going on downstairs and the guy's sawing. So sorry if you're hearing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my fill. That's that color. I'm going to do a gradient now. And so to do a gradient, I'm just going to start with this black and white gradient on that one. And here's how gradients work. The gradient tool, letter G is the gradient tool. It's right here. That's selected. And when I click and drag with the gradient tool, G for the gradient tool, there's the gradient tool. I click and drag to make a gradient. And I kind of just want a little bit of, like a pink there. And so I can double click on this stopper here, and there's, I think there's the color I had for the scan. And I'm gonna click on this one and make it the same color. So is that a gradient anymore? Well, no, it's all the same color, but in actuality, it is a gradient. It's just the same thing. So now I can come to this gradient, and I'm gonna click on this little color palette. That's the color picker. And you see that gradient is made of 25% cyan, 40% magenta, 65% yellow, 0 black. I'm gonna pull the magenta over a little bit, and look what I'm getting. I'm getting some pink there. Maybe I'll pull the cyan back a little bit so it's a little more pink. And there I've got a gradient, but I've got, I can move that wherever I pull that from. If I pull it here, it's, oh, everything's pink because the brown doesn't go to there. If I pull it that way, you see, I got pink here. Pull it this way. I don't want pink down there, so I've got to pull it to where it doesn't affect that area. And I'm liking that. So I'll make that a little more red there. And there's a little bonus lesson on hit V, get out of that. So I've got a little bit of pink going on here. I got a little down there as well. I'll select just that letter, hit G. I'll pull that gradient one more time. And there you go. I could also do, with the gradient tool, in gradients, I've got 3 types. I got a linear gradient, I got a radial gradient. I think I'll do a radial gradient this time. And you see, with that one, I'll zoom up, and you can see, I'll just do it in the area immediately around, and I'll push that pink area there. I'll make the gradient a little bit bigger. Center it around. Around that. And that's just a little fun. I'll make it even brighter red. I'll go clear to 100 red and a little more yellow as well. Okay, so there I've got a little bit of a throbbing, starting to get infected, a little bit more pain involved in that. So that's the bonus word sliver. That font was, remember, it was Myriad Pro. I can't say chickens. And so I'm going to go back here, and I'm not going to leave it chickens. You remember I chose Myriad. Myriad Pro, and it was just regular Myriad Pro, I think. And so Myriad Pro, I can copy it from there, and I'll just paste it here, Myriad Pro. And because it's aligned left, you see, if it were aligned center, now I'm going to get, these two aren't aligned. That's why I did them align left. Okay, so now I've got drip, loop, and sliver, and I'll hit save. So back to the assignment. You get 5 extra credit points for doing sliver. So it's worth 5 points, but you can get, it's worth 10 points if you just do drip and loop. Oh, look here, I made that longer, like a finger. That's one more thing I did. Okay, I'll do that same thing. I'll hit A, and I'll make that more long, like a finger. I'm just selecting these bottom, direct selection to a letter A, and then I pulled those down there. All right, so it's my finger going like that. Ow, I got a sliver. Save. All right, on this one, I don't need these 2 artboards, so I could get the artboard tool, select that one, hit delete, select that one, hit delete. I've got type out here now. I don't need, I can just select that type and delete it. And then save, and what format you're supposed to turn in, save as a PDF. So I'll go File, Save a Copy. I'm going to keep my AI file, but I'll go Save a Copy, and I'll tell it to be a PDF right here. I'll get rid of the word copy in the name right here. It says copy, delete, and the space, and save. And I'm going to always keep preserve Illustrator editing capabilities checked, never uncheck that. And I'll click save. Now I've got a file here, Alan Dennis drip loop PDF. I open that in Acrobat, you see, and that's what I'll be looking for next week is, I think I'm asking, I'm going to double check. I want a PDF of your onomatopoeia. I may have asked for AI. If I did, I'm going to change it to a PDF. But now you see I have this. I can open it in Acrobat, and then I can just click through. But you see on the bottom, small, the font, here's my onomatopoeia. It says loop, it's making a loop, right? And it says drip. It looks like drip. It's just type with minor modification. I didn't draw a faucet and render a faucet and make handles and all that stuff. I've got the word sliver. It's just type. I've got sliver. I got a little bit of infection going on here, a little bit of throbbing